Hello, and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast, my podcast about knitting, sewing, crochet, cross-stitch, and all manner of crafty goodness. My name is Laura, and I'm coming to you from High Level, Alberta, Canada, where I live with my husband and our pet cat, and our little baby bunny, Oscar. And they're both currently snoozing. It's been so sunny and warm here lately. I know right now it's like snowing heavily in Europe, which is kind of funny, because it has been so nice here in northern Alberta, and we've had a lot of sun. So if it's a little bit bright, that's why. It's been really nice. It's almost been like tanning weather for Canada, you know, like 2 degrees below zero. But yeah, you can find me online as Tiny Human Knits pretty much everywhere. I am on Ravelry and Instagram, and I also have an Etsy shop of the same name. And I also have a Ravelry group for the podcast, which is Tiny Human Knits Podcast under the Ravelry Groups tab. I will have links for everything where you can find me and things that I talk about in the down bar below. And we have one knit along going right now. It's a make along. It's to use your stash that is purchased before January 3rd. And I thought I was going to be doing this for about 6 months, but I'm still not sure if I might do it for the whole year because it's been going really well. You guys are making so much stuff. I already have over 200 entries into the finished objects thread, which is amazing. And speaking of that, I did say in my last podcast that I would draw just pattern winners out of each of the threads, one from the chatter thread and one from the finished object thread. So I drew names just before I started podcasting. So this will be whatever pattern you want from Ravelry, and it doesn't matter which pattern it is, any pattern you want, just let me know. And so yeah, I wrote them down, and the first one from the finished objects thread, I drew post number 62, which is VINGIRL, which is Michelle, and I was so excited when I picked her because she is very, very active in both, like, pretty much all my threads. So it was nice to see someone who's consistently participating. So let me know on Ravelry, send me a message on Ravelry, and let me know what pattern you want, and I will purchase that for you. And then from the chatter thread, it was post number 128, which is I Love Grapefruit, which was so funny because in her post picture on that particular post, she had a bag that she bought from my shop. So that was sort of extra special for me as well. So it's really nice knowing that there's people consistently participating, and so if both of you lovely ladies can just send me a message and tell me which pattern you want. And just in case anyone is wondering, if you are a fan of Caitlin Hunter, which is Boyland Knitworks on Ravelry, she is having a 30% off her pattern sale until the 10th of March, I believe. It's to celebrate her sort of anniversary of pattern writing, I believe. So if you do enjoy her patterns, go check it out. I will admit I did buy 3 more patterns of hers, which I need to get on the other ones that I have, but first I just need to work through the stuff that I'm working on right now. So I'm not wearing any handmade finished objects today, but I do have a tiny little pile of finished objects beside me. So I'm going to go through the boring things first, and this will be my finished objects. So there's quite a few, so please bear with me. Okay, so the first one is going to be a project I had on my needles last time. It was my husband's socks, and these are knit out of Cauldron of colors on her BFL base and in the Prospero colorway. I think I was still on the first sock, or was I almost finished? I can't remember. Anyway, so here's the finished pair. I still adore this colorway so much. And I do have enough. I think I'm going to make my 4-year-old nephew, he just had his birthday this week, I'm going to make him a pair of socks to wear because he's going to be starting like pre-K. So I'm going to make him some nice socks. My husband has already worn these. He's desperate for more socks. I think I could make him a pair of socks like every week. I kind of want to make him a pair of socks for every day of the month so I don't have to worry about washing them all the time, because he is the type of person who he needs them to be washed probably every 2 wears. So I am thinking about maybe just keeping, make him more to make my life easier. But yeah, so these are just, I've said it a million times, my basic Judy's Magic cast on, and then a Fleagle heel, and then a 2x2 rib at the top. And I never like measure really how tall the leg is, I just kind of go until I'm done. But I love the BFL base. It's super soft and woolly and nice, and the color is beautiful. So I'm super happy with these. And they were for his birthday, which I did for a fleeting moment have a wild idea to knit him another pair of socks for his birthday, because his birthday's on Monday. But then I realized that I don't need that kind of stress in my life, and I keep doing this to myself. I've been casting on so many things because we're moving in a week, or we get possession of our new house in a week, and I think I'm like manifesting my stress in knitwear. So I've been casting on way more than I normally do. So I just had to like tell myself to cool it a little bit. So these are his birthday socks, and the only ones he'll be getting. Okay. So the next pair of socks is this pair right here. And I've got the second one right here. These I cast on immediately after my last podcast. I'm not even entirely sure why. Oh no, I do know why. These were supposed to be for my cousin Jennifer. She's going on a Europe holiday next month. Wait, no, this month. It's March. Forgot. And I wanted to make her a pair of socks to wear specifically for her trip. But then this is a skein of yarn that we dyed last summer together. And this was just using food coloring, I think. But it turned out super cute. And I wanted to make her a pair of socks to wear. But then I decided as I was knitting it up, I wanted it. So I made them to my size. She has a slightly longer foot than I do. So I made them to my size. And yeah, it's just a plain shorty. It's really boring. And almost, it's funny, because I knit this up, and it's a 75-25 base. And again, same, Judy's Magic cast on, Fleagle, and this one has a 1x1 twisted rib. And it's almost too soft. I'm starting to realize that I like the woolier yarn for socks specifically. Like, these are really soft. So I might just use them as like cool evenings kind of socks. I don't usually wear socks much at home, but they might not be ones that I wear in my shoes, just because it's so soft that I feel like it would pill a lot. But those are my second finished object. Take those off the blockers now. But yeah, I think they're super cute. But they are like crazy soft. I almost feel like I should have saved the yarn for like a shawl or something, just because it is so soft. But since I did, in fact, want to make a pair of socks for my cousin to wear on her holiday, she came over 2 weeks ago, and I asked her to pick. I have this bag of yarn that's specifically for her set aside, so I don't have to like try to pick something for socks for her out of my whole stash. But I had her pick out the one she wanted the most, and she picked this here. And this is, if I'm remembering correctly, here's the leftover skein. This is a KnitPicks Hawthorne. I'll put the colorway on the screen because I can't remember and I don't have the tag with me right now. But it's a lot thicker than your normal run-of-the-mill fingering weight like hand-dyed. So it's it feels a lot sturdier, and because it's a mixture of Highland wool and nylon, it's one of the woolier, thicker yarns that I'm leaning more towards now. So, and like I said, her foot is a little bit longer than mine, but it fits me. Like I can get a good gauge of whether or not it's gonna fit if I put it on my own foot. So it's nice and plush underneath the heel, so I really like that. And I told her that the only thing I want for these is for her to take pictures of the socks on her trip. So I think she's leaving mid-March, and yeah, I think I can't remember where they're going. 2 of my cousins are going, but I can't remember. But I made these a little bit longer for her, just in case she's wearing her, she's got boots that she might be wearing, so another pair of socks for her. And I love knitting socks for her because A, she's got almost the same foot size as me, and B, she really appreciates them. And it's just really fun making socks for people that you know are going to wear them. She's always wearing her socks, as long as she's not working. She's always wearing her socks when I'm around her, so it's really nice to see. But my 4th finished object, sorry if I'm breezing through these. Boring socks are boring, I don't need to go into too much detail. Okay, so my 4th finished object is another thing I didn't have cast on my last podcast. There are 4 things that I finished that weren't cast on my last podcast. But when I went to visit said cousin of those socks 2 weeks ago, I ran into another one of my cousins. I have said this before, I have a lot of cousins. I have over 110, probably about 120 first cousins. Both my parents have a lot of siblings. Together, they have 26 siblings between them. So that makes for a lot of cousins. And I live near most of them. So when I went to a coffee shop, the fake Starbucks that's at in the next town over, which I love. Their coffee's so much better than regular Starbucks. But anyway, my cousin, another one of my cousins, was there. She was having her birthday breakfast. And she asked me if I had any mittens in my stashes, or like mittens that she could purchase. And I said I don't, because I don't make mittens. I don't even have a pair of mittens for myself. So this is something I've been meaning to do. And I actually had this skein of yarn. She wanted a burgundy pair, and I had this skein of yarn to make this specific pattern because I have made this specific pattern in this specific yarn twice, like on 2 other occasions for other people, but I meant to be making them for myself. But that is the Grove pattern, and it is a pattern by Jared Flood of Brooklyn Tweed, and these are knit out of, put my hair on it, these are knit out of, what is it? Barocco Ultra Alpaca. 50% wool, 50% alpaca. It's a worsted weight. You can buy it at most yarn shops and online. And it has this gorgeous twisted stitch detail, just done with increases, or yarn overs and decreases. And then on the back, or on the palm, it's just a twisted stitch. And it is so gorgeous. I love this pattern. Like I said, this is the 3rd time I've made it. Because it's elegant, and because of the twisted stitch, it really hugs your fingers. Because if you see, if I take it off, it looks ridiculously thin. Like you'd never be able to get it on. And so it's, without being tight, it's really snug. It does take a little bit to get on, just because the cuff, I don't know if you can see because it is pretty dark, the cuff has a twisted, like a cable, so it's a spiral going around, and the left hand side has them going in opposite directions. Which I can tell you, the cuff is the most annoying part of these mittens. I do not enjoy making the cuff. Whenever I make these mittens, it's always the part I dread, but the rest of it goes by pretty quickly. I finished these in about a day. And then it's just got a sort of wedge decrease. And this pattern, and I've made it before, this pattern has you turn, at the end, you turn it inside out and do a 3-needle bind off, which I did on one, and then I felt like, oh, that's probably not the best. You can feel a little bit of a ridge, but after you block it, it's not that bad. But then I thought, like, well, why don't I just do a a Kitchener stitch. Because that would make sense, right? So on the next one, I did a Kitchener stitch, and it looked terrible. Because of the twisted stitches and the amount that you have left over, it had like these weird, it just sat like flat. So if you do make them, I do suggest that you do the 3 needle bind off inside out, because it does look a lot neater. And trying to pick out a Kitchener stitch in this yarn is damn near impossible. It took so much, because it just, it was terrible. But anyway, I'll be giving the news to her on the weekend. But if you're looking for like a advanced beginner mitten pattern, these are awesome. And the thumb fits really well. And it looks really good because like the twisted stitches go up, and then picking up stitches at the thumb is super easy. But I cannot speak of these highly enough. But yeah, I've been meaning to make these for myself for 2 years now, probably. But I thought to myself that I have leftovers of the last 3 that I've made. And so when I finished these, I weighed the pair together, and then I weighed the amount of yarn I had left over. And so this is what I have left over of the 3 pairs that I've made. I have all my balls left. One is a little bit more purpley. Like, I don't know if you can see, but this one's more purpley than this one. But even so, if I worked it out right. But I thought I'll just make myself a pair out of the leftovers. I have to. I can't go another winter with no mittens. Especially when my husband gets his truck stuck in the driveway and I have to help dig him out. But yeah, that is my favorite mitten pattern. I love it. It looks so fancy. And it's so easy. Like, after... I hadn't made these mittens in over a year, I think, and after like 1 repeat, you remember the pattern. It's not hard at all. Okay, so my 5th finished object. Sorry if this is getting boring. Just one finished object after the other. So, my husband and I are going to be going to Edmonton in April, I believe. And I haven't seen, by the time we go there, I will not have seen my twin nephews for about 6 months. I have 3 nephews on my family side. So I wanted to make all of them sweaters, because I haven't made sweaters for them for a while, and I didn't do any Christmas gifts, so I thought, like, I've got a bit more time now, so I might just do that now. So I searched for some fingering weight patterns on Ravelry, and I found, for the twins, they're 2 years old, I found this pattern here, which is a baby tee, and that is by Kate Oates. Here's a picture of that there, if you can see that. So it's a onesie style neck with the envelope flap, sort of a raglan increases, and then you stripe your 2 colors. So if you look on the projects on Ravelry, this pattern is not written amazingly well, and you start off, you cast on one front, do some increases, cast on the other side of the front, do some increases, join them, knit a couple rows, leave them, and then you cast on the back, increases, then you join them together doing, when you hold your 2 rows of stitches here. You take these and then you knit them together from both needles, but like, by the time you get to this striping, you've got probably 13 ends to weave in, which is just kind of annoying, but I mean, it's cute enough to just deal with it. So this is the first one I made, and I think it's super cute, and it matches, I think it'll match my nephew's really well. And I knit this out of some hand-dyed yarn that I had. The 2 colors is, the top one here is Swamp Monster, and then the contrasting dark green is the Dark Mark. And I didn't want to make a long sleeve because it's almost summertime, and, well, almost summertime, it's almost spring, and it'll be summer. So I wanted to make something lightweight that they could wear in the summertime, and they're both like pale blondies, so I think these will be really cute. So this is the first one. They had you do, like, they have the ribbing at the top in the pattern, but then at the bottom, at the hem and then the sleeves, they had you just do like knit a few rows and let it curl in on itself, and I'm not a fan of that, so I just did I just did a 2x2 rib on all of them except the top where it's a 1x1, which I think looks fine. It's quite cute. But I'm really happy with this. I think it turned out really cute. The pattern calls for 2.75 millimeter and a 2.25 for the rib, but I'm apparently a tight knitter, I'm realizing. So I actually had to go up to a 3.25 for the main body, in which I don't have a 3.25 and a 16 millimeter length. So when it came to doing the body, trying to do this on magic loop was so annoying that I just broke out one of my 3.5 millimeter circulars, the 16-inch circulars, and I don't think my gauge changed at all because I just tried to knit it a little bit tighter. But my sister has really long, skinny babies. Apparently that's how my family goes. So I made it a little bit, I made it the size, the 4-year size, just because I want them to be able to wear them for a while. But yeah, I'm very excited to see them in them. And then the next one I need to cast on, I'm going to do the dark mark at the top, and then the rest of it, the striping, is going to be Swamp Monster. And the way it worked out is I have pretty much like just over 50 grams of the dark mark, which is this one here. And then I've got, I think, about 65 grams of Swamp Monster. So I think by the end of it, I'm going to have like maybe 10 grams of either or less left over. So it works out really well. So I need to cast that on probably soon. I have over a month, so I should be fine. But it's super cute and it's really soft. Okay, so the last finished object is my biggest finished object. And it's actually, I weighed it, it's 2 pounds. It's 2 pounds of yarn. Of superwash merino wool. And that is, let's see if I can, I'm not going to be able to show this all in one go. This is my Radmere cardigan by Wang. Oh my goodness. It's so big and so just, oh, yeah. This is knit out of KnitPicks Swish Worsted in the Cobblestone Heather colorway. It's knit in 5 pieces. So the back, 2 sleeves, and 2 fronts. I'm gonna have to stand up. Okay. So I sewed up all the pieces. So I got the yarn that I needed because I ran out. So I got the yarn that I needed in the mail the day I podcasted last time. So I sewed up the fronts and the back together and then did the rib, which is a simple 2x2 rib. It's got the single row buttonholes, which I really like, that are in a lot of Brooklyn tweed patterns. And then it's got short row shaping for the shawl collar, which I think turned out really well. And then after I was done that, I sewed on the sleeves and then gave it another block as a whole just so I could even out the button bands. So it is heavy. My husband absolutely adores it. He was very excited when I was done. And he's worn it a couple times already. So the only thing I need to do now is sew on buttons. And then I also have little labels that I put on most of my hand knits. Oh, where did I put it? Yes. So I have these labels that I ordered quite a while ago. They're from Sweet Pine Hills. And I ordered these to go on my bigger projects. I bought wooden buttons, engraved wooden buttons to go on smaller ones. And that's just wrap around the bottom. It just has my monogram, and then it's got washing instructions that can go folded over on the inside. Pardon me, on the inside. So I'll actually just leave that out because I need to do that later. And then yeah, I don't have buttons appropriate for this project, so I will get some later. And the funniest thing, I do a lot of projects that are seamed. I've never shied away from any project because of a construction type. I don't mind seaming, and I've done a lot of it. But this one was the easiest seaming project I have ever done in my life. I sewed it together using a, I think a West Yorkshire Spinner sock weight yarn. They do suggest with Brooklyn Tweed patterns that you sew it together using a sock weight. It's easier. Using the worsted weight to do seaming is really cumbersome because you have to pull a little bit harder and it's just a little bit more annoying. And so I used a just a sock weight yarn that I had in my stash, and that made it super, super easy. And then just everything just super easy. No particular part was I thinking, oh, this isn't lining up properly. But yeah, I love it. It is heavy, it is cabley, it is gorgeous, and I've worn it too, and it's so comfy. And swish worsted is really soft, like really, really soft. But it looks great on my husband. It actually fits him. It fits him really well, but it's actually long enough that it goes over like most of his butt, which for a guy, like I didn't realize I did it that long, but he really likes that. But on me, it looks like a dress. Very much so. It's very long. But it'll be really nice. Like if we go camping this summer, I will definitely be stealing it from him to sit around the fire with. So, because I do get a little bit nervous about my newly hand knits, but I don't want to be the type of person that's precious with things. I want them to be usable. And I did have 2 extra skeins left over, which I don't know if I'm gonna make him a hat or just keep it for just in case. But yes, I'm quite glad this is finished. This is the first finished object I have out of my Make 9 projects. And I am glad it's done, because it is the biggest one. So, but if I remember, I might insert some pictures here about how it looks being worn, because I'm not going to wear it right now, because I will get way too hot. I want to get, when I posted my Make 9 for this year, because it has the grid that you post on Instagram, someone suggested that I retake all of the pattern photos in the same style with the finished objects, so I'm kind of going to try to convince my husband to let me take a picture of him at the coffee shop when we go on the weekend, of him wearing it sitting in a chair the same way as they have on the pattern. I don't know if he'll let me, but we'll see. So those are my finished objects. That's me stress knitting, I think. I've been doing very little else, and I should be packing, but I think this is me procrastinating. I did start cleaning up my house a little bit, doing the deep cleaning, appliances and stuff like that, but yeah. I only have 2 projects on my needles right now. I think. I do still have to cast on the other baby sweater, but that can wait. But yeah, only 2 projects, which moves me nicely into works in progress. So I did consider casting on another pair of socks, but I don't want to have too many projects on my needles right now. I think I'm finally coming to my senses. So I have 2. The first one being the Land of Sweets cowl. Apparently I've been keeping everything in my desk drawer. That is The Land of Sweets by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. Here's a terrible black and white photo because I don't have a color printer. And I'm sure everyone knows this. It came with Knit Vent of 2017 around Christmas, where I think she uploaded, I think, 7 patterns over the holiday season. I got the whole thing, which I'm not entirely sure why. I think I just got a little bit overzealous. But, so it's designed to be a cowl. It has 24 colors. It's supposed to go with your Advent minis that you get at Christmas time. So you only need a couple of grams of each color. But I just have a lot of leftovers in the same sort of tones as well. So I just cast on using ones that I went through all my leftovers and picked ones that all sort of had the same tone and the colors that I really like. So I cast this on a couple days ago. So this is taking the form of my like sock project. And I think I'm on the 9th color. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, on the 9th color. I don't know if you'll be able to see that very well. So it's just every row is slightly different. I've got rib, stockinette, sort of just a rib, alternating rib pattern, stockinette, lace, stockinette, and yeah, I used, so the colors I have so far, I've got all of them in a basket here. Those are the ones I've used so far, and I'm probably going to have to reuse a couple colors because I don't have 24 different colors of that same sort of hue. So first I have, the rib is a leftover of my bendy arrow, the brown color in my bendy arrow, and then I have some yarning apart, and I think that's House Sparrow dry speckle, and then that's from my So Faded. And then I have Victoria and Lulu, and then I've got House Sparrow wet speckle, spilled ink, both from yarning apart as well. And then I've got, I think this one is from a bendy arrow I did for my cousin Jennifer the year before last, I'm pretty sure. And then I've got Dust Light from Yarning Apart, and then I've got my Smashed Raspberry Ice Cream going on right now, and that is from my shawl from Rosie, my friend Rosie. I did a, what's it called? Test knit for Rosie for her shawl that I can't remember the name of anymore. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm a bad friend. Sorry, Rosie. I'll put the name up here and maybe insert a picture. So that is what I am knitting, sort of my break time sock style knitting, because it's easy. It's on 3.5mm needles, and it's very easy to follow. But I'm really enjoying that, and I'm pretty excited to have it. I don't have any cowls. I have a couple, well, I have one scarf and like 3 shawls, which I've found that I'm wearing my shawls quite a lot lately, and I'm thinking it's sort of the wrong season for it, but I'm really wanting a DK weight shawl because in the winter, I've noticed, I do enjoy wearing them. So I think I might have to do that. And I have some Yarning Apart DK in the Rust Spots colorway, which I think would make a really nice DK weight shawl. So my second work in progress, which is my bigger work in progress, it is the second pattern that I'll be doing from my Make 9. And that is, I had this cast on last time, it is the BISTORT pullover. And that is this right here. So last time I just had the body cast on, and I think I was just past the ribbing. But now I finished the body up to the point that I need to join the sleeves, and I just cast on the sleeves now. But you do 26 rows, or 27 rows of color work before you attach all the pieces together. So the sleeves will have 27 rows of color work, and the body has 27 rows of color work. So the color work goes a little bit farther down than a normal traditional yoked color work sweater. But this is so gorgeous, and I have them on slightly small needles, short needles, so I'm going to try to do this without like completely pulling my needles off my stitches. So this is my color work. Look how gorgeous it is. I am actually super pleased with this as of right now. So I thought in the beginning that this was going to have like a couple rows of 3 colors in one row, but I'm wrong. It's mostly 3 colors in one row. So it is super thick, like it's squishy, because I have got 3 strands of color going through, and actually this row right here has 4. There are 4 colors in that one row. It's the only row, thank heavens, but there's 4. So, and I haven't done color work for a while, so I am super impressed with my tension on this, and it's only because, and I will say this, Ellie of Skein is really big into color work projects, and she gave the tip that after every couple stitches that you knit, you sort of pull your work to even out any stitches and to make sure that it's not too tight, and that has been helping so much with my tension. It really helps with giving enough space between your floats. And luckily this is only an 8-stitch repeat, so I don't often have to catch my floats. But I'm also really happy with how it looks on the inside. I'm just really happy with this project. Also, the body I knit in 3.75mm needle. That's what I got gauge on, and that's the gauge that's in the pattern. But and I do this with all my projects, when I got to the color work portion, I moved to a 4mm needle, which seems like it might not make too much of a difference, but it's just enough of an extra circumference that it gives me a little bit, like, make sure I don't, like, strangle my stitches. But I love this pattern, I love how it's coming out, and it's sort of funny. I'm kind of hoping when I'm finishing it that it might cool down a little bit again, because it has been so nice here that it's sort of the wrong season to be making a super thick sport weight wool garment. But yeah, I'm making this exactly the same as the pattern is on Ravelry. I have the same yarn, it's KnitPicks Wool of the Andes Sport, the same colors, because I didn't want to mess with the beautiful thing, because I think it's gorgeous. But yeah, I have these just hanging out on the needles right now, and then I've got the first sleeve cast on, and there's nothing to write home about. It's just doing the increases. And yeah, and it's not going to be too bad because of the color work that you do before you join. I don't have to knit like the full length of the sleeve in stockinette. There's going to be some color work involved, so that'll be nice. But I posted on Instagram that I should have done the sleeves first, because now it seems really boring and I keep putting it down for my my cowl, but that's okay. I'll get through it. I want to get it done before we start moving, so I'm going to be working on that quite a bit. But I really like it. And I forgot to mention last time, this pattern calls for a 1x1 rib, and I don't like 1x1 rib. I never do it. Always, to me, looks like it's not as neat as I would like it, so I did change it to 2x2 rib. And on the sleeves, for my size, you cast on 42 stitches, and I just cast on 40 stitches to make me able to do a 2x2 rib, and then increase 2 stitches immediately after I was finished. Another thing I did was I omitted the Latvian braid, the 2-color Latvian braid. That's supposed to be on the bottom edge and the sleeve cuff, and there's supposed to be one at the neck, and I just don't want to do that. I think it's unnecessary for me. It's not my favorite. Hi, kitty. Who wants to see my kitty? Meow! This is Shrimp. She's a massive baby. Say hi. She's been sleeping on the bed this whole time. She didn't even follow me in. What's the matter with you? You gonna say hi? She's got nothing to say. Got nothing to say. She's been a bit of a baby these last few days. She also doesn't usually stay on me after I pick her up, so this is apparently just where she's living now. Is that right? I really shouldn't do that. I am allergic to her. Can't help it though. Look how cute she is. Aren't you? I'm gonna have to cut this part out. Do you want to say anything else about it? You don't have anything else to say? I've been hanging out in the office because a lot of times I'll spend my time downstairs because there's a couch and a bigger TV. But I've been spending a lot of time in my office just because it helps me concentrate on what I'm doing a lot better. And whenever I'm in here, she is sitting on the chair behind me. That's why I've got a red blanket, because she started shedding something ferocious. So I have a blanket over the chair just so she doesn't get hair on that. And she's always sleeping on the chair. And yeah. Are you just about done? No? Okay. I hope you guys are well. It's been really nice here, as I said. That scared me. But the weather's been great, and I've been trying to do all of my cleaning and just sort of bits and bobs. I need to go through all of my clothes. I don't like buying clothes. I like making clothes, but I don't like buying clothes. And I've started to notice that a lot of my clothing items that I've been wearing for the past few years are starting to get like actually threadbare. I grabbed a dress out of my closet the other day, and it's got this, I never noticed it before, but it's got this great big hole in the back just where it's threadbare. And so I really need to buy some new clothes, so hopefully I can do that when we go to Edmonton. Because I start my seasonal job again in April, so I don't want to go, you know, to my nice job wearing rags. Kitty. She seriously never sits on me like this. This is just her knowing that I'm doing something. But I don't want to put her down because she's my baby. Isn't that right? We've got acquisitions, though. We have acquisitions. Don't you want to talk about acquisitions? I wish I had a third arm for this. That'd be nice. But yeah. I have a couple acquisitions. I have no self-control. I've got better self-control than I used to, that's for sure. But one of my first acquisition is from a company called Pretty Strings. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. And, or Pretty, yes. It's Pretty String. I'm not entirely sure, but it seems new on Ravelry, Etsy. But I saw her on Instagram, I think. And she is a Canadian dyer, and she had free shipping for all of February. So I thought, you know, if there's ever a reason to get some yarn, it's free shipping, because shipping in Canada is ridiculous. I don't know why. But I saw, it was really hard for me to pick a colorway that I wanted, but I saw this one and I thought this would make an amazing pair of socks. So it is called Fairy Farts, and it is the Pretty Soft Base 80/20 Superwash Merino and Nylon, and 400 yards per 100 grams, and hand dyed for you by Karen with an I. And that is this gorgeous, gorgeous bright color. Wait, what? What? What a baby, eh? And I absolutely adore this. So I want these to be a pattern sock, I think. What do you think? Pattern sock? And when I got my package, it also had this little bunch of mini skeins as a thank you, and I love it. They're super cute and super bright. I always think of myself like having a subtle, sort of earthy tone palette until I order things and they're all bright and shiny. And then I've got another acquisition, and that is from NIKKISLIPP.etsy.com. Don't scratch me. Thank you. And I have been a sucker for mini skein sets these last few weeks, and I'm not entirely sure why. But I think I just want to make a lot of like crazy socks. So I ordered this, and it was a random 7 minis. She has a like cool tone and a warm tone, so like more blues and more reds, opposite, but whatever. And I got this yesterday, and it is super nice. There's no colorway names just because they're random, but these, I want to say these 3 are amazing, but then I really like the others as well. But I love them. And that's her little card thing at the front. So I think these are going to be some crazy socks for my husband just because I love the tones in these. And I asked him, the other day I cleaned all of his socks and they were just hanging over some bar stools that we have in the kitchen because it's kind of the best place. It's nice and sunny there, so they dry nice and fast. So, kitty, hey, stop that! And we were talking about, I was asking him which socks were his favorite, because he was saying he doesn't want to say which ones are his favorite, because he's got one pair that I dyed myself, and I'm like, I don't care, I just like to know. But then he, ow, ow. This is why I'm always covered in scratches, by the way. His favorite pair that he has that I've made him are from my turtle pearl yarns that I bought last year, and I gave to him for Christmas. And he was saying that he likes stripy socks better. I think they're just more like fun sock kind of thing. So he likes stripy socks better. So I have so many of these like little minis that are kind of not the same colors that I want to put in my future granny stripe blanket. So I want to make him a few pairs of like marled socks just with bits and bobs that I have. Which will also be really nice because he has a tendency to wear out the back of his heel. Not like the bottom, but like the back. It gets always this fuzzy sort of felting look. And I think it's because he has to wear heavy boots to work all the time. So if I made them stripes with different colors, if he ever wore through that patch so badly, I could just like put the needles on the color below and the color above and then just like knit up and Kitchener stitch or something like that together. So it would be easier for me to just take out that whole row. So I thought that was an interesting idea. Either that or I'm going to start doing heel flaps and gussets, which I hate for him, just because then, ugh, I don't know. But yeah, that was sort of a tangent, sorry. But yeah, that's what I want to do with all these little minis that I have, like the 5 gram minis, because I do have some 20, but those I want to do bigger projects with. But I just think they're so cute because they're so bright. And I think these would be awesome because these look to be the same twist as well. Yeah. And they're both 80/20s. So that'd be great. But yeah, that's what I want to do with those. Those are the only acquisitions I have. I haven't ordered anything else. That's a lie. I ordered some yarning apart. Because I needed some sport weight sock yarn to do a sample knit for the pattern that I wrote in January. So, and I didn't have any, and you know, any excuse. And then, you know, to make it worth the shipping, you order something else. So, yeah, I've got some of that coming, and then I also have a an exchange package coming from Singapore, I believe. So, those are my only acquisitions, because I don't want to have too much coming to me when we move. Not that it really matters, because it is a box number that we have, and that's in town. It's like 2 streets over. We're going to be so close to the post office. I'm so excited. But that's pretty much it. Now I feel like I'm rambling. What am I doing? Nothing. I don't have any life stuff. Nothing's been happening. I've just been knitting like a mad thing. I've been watching a lot of podcasts. I have started following so many more people because I needed to keep up my like ability to watch podcasts consistently. But I became a Patreon to Melody B. Mandarin's, Melody Hoffman. So I got to watch all of her backlogs of Patreon videos, and she's amazing. She makes me feel so calm. That's probably why I've been getting so much knitting done. And while I was, what was I knitting? I think I was knitting the baby sweater. I watched Anne on Netflix, which is the Anne of Green Gables Netflix version, like the new one. It was so good. I don't know why I hadn't watched it before. I think I just thought maybe it wasn't something that I'd be interested in, because I was never part of that, like, my family was always like Little House on the Prairie, which is why I'm named Laura, by the way. So it was always Little House on the Prairie, and Anne of Green Gables always seemed like a kind of samey thing, but it was so good. So I would recommend that to anyone. It's only 7 episodes right now. I think they're doing a 2nd season. But I just binge watched the entire thing, so that was really nice. And I get so much knitting done when I'm really interested in something that I'm watching. But yeah, I'm going to go and do some boring sleeve knitting and maybe a little bit less boring cowl knitting, and maybe go through my things. My craft room downstairs really needs a thorough go through. See what I can bring over to a secondhand shop and see what can be maybe done in a garage sale, because I do have some stuff that could be done there. But yeah, I hope you all are well, and I will see you next time. Bye!